Hey guys, Bihama here. Today, as I promised, today is the question and answer session. That's every Sunday at 2 p.m. I will always try to limit it to 10 and 15 minutes, depending on how many questions I receive. So far, I think I haven't received a specific question from anyone here. So, with that, I'm just going to answer some of the question I have received outside. Before I begin, I want to thank each and everyone who have supported me by subscribing, by sharing or commenting on any of my videos. And also, those who have bought the book, I have a hard copy for myself too. If you want one or autographed one, please reach out to me. So, again, this channel is more about my experience as a driver, what I learned from there, and what what I did from the resources I got from the driving. So in this book, which is now receiving questions and questions, is exactly explained what my experience is as a driver. So very important to say, I'm using this channel for different things. One is more on the book, which is reading and question and answers. Two, I'm also using it to share more about my experiences with work in general, and how I have been able to start up different project just using some basic skill anyone can practice or can put into action and actually be able to get somewhere with that. So as I shared in my last video, I believe last week, so on Saturday at 2 p.m., it's question and answers. So then on Sunday, we are reading. Then on Monday, that's when I talk mostly about the business, personal life, and stuff. With that, I think there is someone there. So if you can make a comment, I would always appreciate it. And so let's do this. So one of the questions I always get asked was, why did you write a book your your work, your driving, not your, and you don't talk about your life? Yes, it is indeed very. It's a good question, and it's actually a legitimate question to ask. But I would like to share that I left it on purpose because the goal for this work was more on encouraging or motivating people to start up, making harder decisions when it comes to employment, because I wanted to reinforce the idea that you can start from anywhere and still get somewhere. So as for my life in general, I think it's a long story, but I believe somewhere next year or the year next year, after next year, so that's either next year or 2 years from now, I am going to publish my memoir. So that will talk about when I was born, when I grew up, who were my friends, the genocide, how we ended up in this country, and possibly where I will be 2 years from now, which I believe is definitely it will be an amazing story to tell. And I'm really excited to share that, but that's not now. So for now, that's what I can say. But I'm not restricting anyone who want to ask a particular question. Yeah, I have no problem. If I see it fit, I will have no problem answering the question. Question number two was the what do I do? What do I plan next? So my next plan for writing, I am going to definitely publish another book, maybe in the spring of next year. And I'm going to tackle the subject of, maybe let me go back a little bit. So it's some people, even when I'm in a very difficult situation, they tend to ask me, "Oh, so why do you always smile? Why can't you feel sad? Why can't you cry?" Some people have even got to a point where they say I'm heartless, because in most cases I'm pretty calm when it comes to turbulences. If you've been in a plane, you know what I'm talking about. I'm really calm, but when I'm in the plane, it's a different story. When turbulences come, I'm really scared to death. But in the real world turbulence, like having like a loss, losing something, facing the unexpected, most of the time I'm really calm that you might even think that nothing has happened. Someone once insulted me and said I was dangerous because we were arguing to a degree that basically I should have been really upset because he was already upset, but I was laughing when I was responding. Basically, when I was making my argument, I was laughing. So that's when he said, "Oh yeah, you're still dangerous." But the point here being that that calmness and that smiling side of me actually allows me to navigate the rough waters. So eventually that's just wanted to share how sometimes I handled situation differently, but I also don't let pressure get me in, get me to give in. So I always do things not because somebody or anything is pushing, but because I have paid attention, studied, and I make a decision. Which brings me to this point. In most cases, if I make a decision, the chances that it's final. You coming back to try to negotiate, do this or that, it's probably not gonna change my position. The reason is, regardless of the pressure, regardless of who is there, regardless of who is advising, I always take time to analyze, take time to think, take time to even pray. I'm a Christian, I need to say that. I also take time to pray, and I also take time to consult. In most cases, depending on the scenarios, I talk to a number of people. So one, I usually talk to at least two people older than me. That's my formula. I'm sharing in our secret. Two people who are older than me, like they say those who are married or more or something. People who are like senior citizens, and they have to be a man and a woman. So they always have two different genders. Then I also talk to people of my age, not necessarily like this exactly the same age, but in my range. Then both a girl and a man and and a woman. So basically, a young man or a young girl. So then three, I also do talk to my direct family and say, hey, this is what I think, this is what I have, and what can you do? Very important though, I never tell them my decision. I simply present a question, and then I wait for what they answer. Then the rest is just numbers. So every time 51% of people actually agrees with me, usually I tend to slow down in making the decision. But if also, excuse me, guys, somebody's calling. Okay, I'm not going to pick up. Uh, so if people who are older than me, I ask if they say if they answer they give me is pretty much the same as mine, and one person with the same age with me responds to with me, but any other person says no, then I usually will go with that decision. So basically, the point is it's a very complex analysis, but I'm pretty much used to it, and it works so well with me. So, which is why if you ask me an advice, um, mostly I might give you a solution right away, based on how I think or I believe the situation should be handled. But most of the time too, I will have to go consult more to ensure that when I give you an advice, it's a credible. Basically, it's just as if I'm the one making a decision. However, please, when you're advising somebody, never, ever, ever tell them what you think they should do. That's another thing I want to share. Always give them option. Option number one, hey, my friend, let's say my friend is X. Hey, dear X, this is option A, this is option B, this is option three. Then explain the consequences or what can go right and what can go wrong, not just what can go right. I will create a video on that, on the advising part. So in any case, now back to my next so that's exactly what the next book is going to be. I'm going to talk about worry, like what do you do when you're worried. There are many books that talks about, going to doing yoga, hanging out with friends, reading. Some people go to the extreme and drinking. So people do a lot of things, but I'm going to share my own experience, and I will also give evidence of how perfect it has worked, and hopefully it can also help somebody somewhere. Then I'm also going to share about on starting up. Starting up means like if you want to start a company, what do you do? The common knowledge we have outside is that we have to think about the idea, then look for a partner, and then write up a proposal, then start up. But I am going to add something that will be really unusual: travel. If you want to start up something, you think about it, write it down before even you look for a partner. Travel fast. I'm going to share more on why I believe traveling is also important when you are making a decision on what you want to do in life, especially in starting up a company. Number three, I am going to talk about when trouble arises. Most of the time, when from what I have had, I sit and different on board and meetings where when people are running in hot weather, the best thing they want to do is get defensive right away. I personally agree that yes, when something happens, you always have to look for the best way to answer to the situation. But I also want always I personally I concentrate more on what causing the problem, not the solution right away. Maybe if it's an emergency, I would always just put a band-aid for now as I study where this thing is coming from, because most of the time we tend to think positive or in everything. So I have had friends that when I tell them, they tell me these amazing ideas. I'm like, but what if actually it doesn't work? No, 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 Bihama, don't talk about that. So that's exactly why people fall, because the most of the time what we are worried about is what can go right but not what can go wrong. So I'm going to share on being an eagle. So I got a chance to skydive and I was in Monterey. So there's this power plant when you were where I was, when you're driving from there to the airport where I jumped. It's a long distance, like almost 7 miles. But once you are 18,000 feet and you step out of that plane door, like you look and you know you're going to jump, there is the fear that really comes like from you, and you're like, oh my God, am I going to make it? But the view you see is exactly how I would wish anyone would approach the problem. So why they bring the power plant? Once you're 18 feet above the power plant, above the airport, you actually see the power plant beneath you, because the further up you go, the closer everything gets. So basically, the earth shrinks like into a sphere. So everything just comes smaller. But the point is, you are seeing around it. So the point now here is when your face or circumstances arise, try to see it in different direction. Not just trying to respond to that person who is coming and all those things. No, yes, face it, but study. Rook and both, good and bad. Because sometimes things might happen when actually it's for our benefit. And by speaking of that, think about for Corona, for example, we we have millions of people who have lost jobs. We have millions of people who have lost relatives, family members. Actually, I know somebody who lost four, I believe, four people in his family. But we have people who are celebrating too. So I was reading like the list of billionaires that the Tesla founder since February, he was able to add $770 billion in his account. So think about that. Do you think he's concerned about? No, he's of course concerned, and I'm sure he's doing everything he can, but he's happy that he's making it. Look at Amazon, the profit shoot. So which means while everyone else is crying and screaming, and including myself, I personally didn't have a stronger effect. It didn't have a stronger effect on me. I kept working, but I have friends, I have neighbors who were affected. Therefore, to me, I believe if my neighbor is suffering, it means also me, I'm suffering too. So that's also one thing. Another thing I will talk about in the book. So I will. Like it's like I shared before, there are books that talks about a lot of things, but I am going to maybe let me go to the next point so I can conclude, I can say what I wanted to say. Then I also want to talk about being special. One of the hardest thing I have struggled with my sisters, for example, is before they come out of the house. They want me to look at them. They want me to tell them how they are looking, how the dress is looking, how the hair is looking. And I'm like, who really care how you're looking? Yes, it's good. You have a nice dress on, you have a nice hair on, but yeah, just do it to your satisfaction. Don't worry about what the person next to you will think, because in the end of the day, when you come home, it's just you alone. So personally, when especially like when I was driving, for example, I always have difficulties. One of the hardest thing I had to deal with was when people say, like for example, it's illegal to give right to minors. So where like it's during school time, parents will request a ride, but once you get there, it's their minor going to school. So that's I can't remember the exact age, but usually like people from middle school or those who are just starting high school or younger than that. So they tend to parents will tell you when every time I go there, I will tell them, oh, hey, mom, or hey, sir, I don't think I can give a right to this student because I don't believe I'm not legally allowed to do this. And people will go, no, 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 you have to do it because other drivers have done it before. So, and you hear this a lot, like, oh, so and so, Arnold Schwarzenegger did it and he made it. Oh, so and so did it and he made it. Yes, yes, absolutely agree, and thank you for sharing. But that was Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was your neighbor. That was someone else. It was not you. In my culture, we have a saying that says, "The chances of a rat is not the same chances of a cat, because the rat can move around in the house. So basically, a cat can hunt yeah, a rat in the house or outside of the house, but it's not vice versa. A, and if a cat can't get a rat, it has alternatives. It can get some meat somewhere. It can get different other things. But how about a rat? So the chances of that particular person or the destiny of that particular person is completely different and beyond your own control. So what basically I'm trying to say is, when you are trying to do things, always think it that you are the only one in existence today. How can you do this? So I like to call it create your own path, not imitate. I'm going to sound maybe to some I might sound more like selfish or maybe arrogant, but it will surprise you that I have been privileged to meet like super fast runners when I was running. We always met at the start line and people run for autographs. I have been to different conferences and people run for autograph, but I have never asked for an autograph. Not because I feel like I'm different, but it's because I don't believe I need to idolize people. The number one thing I have to idolize is me and what I'm capable of. So don't get me wrong that I'm trying to be ignorant but or maybe arrogant, but I strongly believe when you avoid looking, comparing yourself to others or try to imitate what they did to actually be able to make it, that's when success will come. So I remember when I approached one of my closest friend, I have advised him for many on a range of issues. But when I told him that I had landed an idea, a technology, I explained it to him, and he said I was crazy. He told me that why do you think Google hasn't done it? So for sure, if I was that person I just described before a few minutes ago, I would have given because just think how massive Google is. I read an article that Google is the 68 or something between 60 and 68, 70% of searches online lands on Google. That's how big these guys are. So you cannot basically competition with them wouldn't make even I don't know how yes, it can work, but I don't know how long it will take you. So the point I'm trying to make here, when my friend told me that, I looked in his eyes, I said, no, I believe I had something special. And I went and Googled. But for long story short, basically, he discouraged me to even discard the idea. But because I had already seen why I should pursue it, I continue on doing a research, and because he is an engineer, so I was relying on him to see if he can actually support me, so we can start talking a serious conversation. Long story short, after trying for many months and I couldn't get through with him, I approached another person that I have known for a long time. And yeah, so he bought into it and we started and worked on it. And yeah, pretty soon I will be sharing how far we are and what next. So the point being that when you need to understand that you are different, only you, just that one person who is called you to say your name. Nobody in the universe is like you. Nobody is in the universe think like you. Nobody in the universe can achieve what you can achieve. Nobody can even if you are a twin, even your own twin cannot. So those are the now the kind of things I'm going to share. So now back to what I wanted to say about when trouble arises. So I want to tie these two. So when circumstances arise, remember that no matter how many people are advising you, none is able to see exactly like you. Therefore, never build a conclusion or a decision based on a single person. Listen to as many people as you can. Of course, people you know that they can be trustworthy, not those ones who go around out and about talking about things. So when once all these people give you the feedback, sit and make your own. This I'm repeating, your own decision. So I think I rate it from here. 25 minutes is enough. So just saying that that's what the questions I had on my future project. That's what it is. So from you expect that to come out during the spring of next year. Hopefully, we'll all of us be alive and we will, I'm sure I will share more. But of course, I might have said like different things that you have like a question so fast. Like, why did he say that? Oh, maybe how about that? What if I do? So always, you can always send me a message, or you can reach out to me. Then I will eventually, put into perspective and elaborate a little more. And like I said, every Monday at 2 p.m., that's exactly what we'll be doing. So stay blessed and have a good weekend, everyone. And that's all I have for you guys today. Bye bye. Thank you. And please continue sharing, continue commenting on my video, and subscribing if you haven't, just one click away. And if for those of you who have bought the ebook or hard copies, hopefully Corona loosened up soon, so I can actually go out and about to give autographs, or just talk to you, to all of you in your cities. And I'm really excited about that opportunity. And thank you again. Have a good day. Bye bye.